Hey everyone, this is just going to be a pretty quick video about the home connection and just a few kind of troubleshooting things that I've seen already and heard about. And then I'm going to do a quick explanation of the innards once you get logged in. So the first thing is, and this is super common to happen with the kids, I've done it a half million times myself, is that when you're actually going to the website, you have to make sure that the address, it should be just rockonacademy.illuminatehc.com, and then it goes and it actually has these little end things on my browser. But you don't put www in front of it. So if you do www.rockonacademy.illuminatehc, then it will say take you somewhere else, because that's not essentially the website has two prefixes. And then the other thing is that if you're in a tab, let's say, and I look for, Illuminate Home Connection or Illuminate HC, and I just type it in sorry, as a search, you'll come here and you'll say, oh, here it is right here. But if you notice in the address bar, it actually says LCER. You're at a different school's login. And that can happen a lot of times too if you mistype Rockland Academy or something Academy. Sometimes it'll look for what's the closest and it'll end up taking you to a different school. So it might say, it wouldn't say Phoenix University, but, Lincoln High School or, something else will be up here where it should say Rockland Academy. And the page, actually, I'm at a different schools right here. It looks completely identical to ours. I'm going back and forth between them, but it looks the same. So you need to make sure that it actually says Rockland Academy at the top. So I can't actually log in here because I could log in as a student, but then you see an actual student, so I'm not going to do that, and I am not a parent, so I can't log in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a sample. So this is a demo site. So things are going to look a little bit different here than they are when you log in, but I just wanted to give a kind of a poke around a little bit and show you some things that I've noticed inside. So one thing you'll notice is you're going to have a lot less things to look at over in these options right here because we don't have attendance, we don't have these CST things or the CELT scores. I don't know about the report cards if that's over there, I can't remember, but some of these things won't be there because we're not using all of those features in Illuminate. One thing you want to notice here is this, I believe, for most everyone has a couple, I think it has a bar for every class, and although it does go from 1 to 5, our point scale is really only 1 to 3. So if you're looking at a bunch of 3s thinking, oh my gosh, they're all supposed to be 5s, they're not. It's just by default, it has 5 at a time, 5 numbers at a time. That's just how the spacing the bar graph out. Moving down a little bit to things that would be important is you will see a grade book. Yours will not show percents. Yours will look more like, I think this one has an example. Here, right down here, we have, this would be, because we are standards-based grading, so yours would have, say, partial understanding or thorough understanding or something like that, or proficient. And these should be broken down by classes. As of yesterday, they weren't because our grade books weren't really set up to display these things in the right way, but we've been going through and modifying things on our end so they actually show up on your end correctly. Other things you'll notice is, so if you're over here on the right, this is where you can navigate. And I'm actually in a student view, so that's why it says pending online assessments. I believe that the parent and the student view is the exact same. So I think that if students have pending assessments, that you would also be able to see that. I'm not 100% positive about that. But it does show the recent assessments, I know that. But a lot of these things here, the assessments are something that will definitely be in. Obviously, with the percentages, you're going to kind of want to ignore the percentages because those are, we're ignoring those because we're standards based. So those are overall, but there's going to be a handful of standards for each assessment. So let me see if I can find I think maybe this one was a standards based. Oh, here we go. So you'll click on an assessment and it will have the overall percentage, but what's more important that you'll be looking for is the standards down here. And so you would want to be looking for whether or not the points possible out of that standard and the proficiency and the percentage of that particular standard. Another thing to notice is these little buttons down here will actually take you, if you click on them, they will load up a playlist, which would be helpful at home to help with an assessment. If you're noticing that they're not doing really well on a standard, you click that button and it opens up playlists through a website over here called Activate, and that has, you can look at those, and those have different lessons and practice things that they can do online that we're going to look to use more of that in the future. And back over here on the right, another thing is the assignments. Now you will probably notice, so this is what the assignments window looks like. You can actually click up here and go through the different classes. One thing that you'll notice is you'll probably have a lot of dash, and then there's going to be a lot of /3s. And I know in my grade book, and I believe probably in Mrs. Penny's as well. And that's actually because the way we've been putting retakes in our grade book is just to make an assignment for everyone that will add on a revised score to an assessment. And that worked great on our end for our grade book, but not realizing that for you, it ends up looking like there's a bunch of missing assignments if a student either hasn't done the retake yet, or even for every student who doesn't have to take the retake, shouldn't be taking retakes, it still looks like there's a missing assignment. So we're going to look at what we can do on our end to make that a little bit more clear for you, so it doesn't look like missing assignments. But the assignments would be things from the gradebook, but in general, most everything that their grades are coming from are the assessments. But keep in mind, as of this moment, the assessments don't actually reflect the retakes. So these are some things that we're figuring out look weird on your end, even though they're actually all kept track of in a way that makes sense for us. It's just not super helpful for you. So we're trying to figure out how to do that so you can see what's really going on. But in the meantime, that's kind of a breakdown of how to get in and all that. So another note is if you have siblings, if a child has siblings, we're trying to figure out how to work the codes for that, because it looks like you can only use an email once. So when you're registering, so that's something that we're looking into. So anyway, hope this video helps just to get the basics.